I'm at the park with Artemis. We're bringing him on the swings, and well, more like Ron, because I decided to wear sandals like a retard to the park. It was a pretty an impromptu little visit, but Ron and I are both kind of hungover, and I had a really big realization through my drunken retardedness last night and this morning, and well, I'll touch more on that a little bit later. Is that a smile? It's Sunday and I came to get some water. I don't know how to make these videos short without me rambling on, but as you guys saw in the video earlier, I took Artemis to the park yesterday with my husband and we had a really good time. He looked a little terrified on the swing, but then after a little while he was happy. So what I was gonna say yesterday is that on Friday I went out with my husband and my brother and his wife, and we went out to a karaoke bar that I haven't been to in a long time. I used to go there every weekend for I don't know how many years, and I moved far away, so I don't get to go that often anymore. I did go on Friday because I wanted to have a couple of drinks and hang out with my brother and his wife. I haven't really gotten to see them that often anymore. So my point is that I got completely drunk. And one thing that I do have to say is that I can be a really happy drunk or I can be a pissed off drunk. And my friends know this. I told this to Ron when we were dating, and I just told him, you know what, you just kind of have to figure me out when I'm drunk. And he hasn't figured it out. But the thing that triggers me when I'm drunk is when you try to tell me what to do. Yeah. So I got upset at him, and he was like, why were you so upset at me last night? I'm like, well, I don't really remember, but if you tell me what happened, I can probably pinpoint the point where I became upset. And he's like, well, you were ordering around drinks again, and I told you no, and I took away your drink. I'm like, that's why. I went from being this like wild child kind of girl, I guess, from like the age of like 21 to 26, where I did what I wanted when I wanted, and I had no one to answer to. I lived on my own. I supported myself. I didn't have a boyfriend by choice, and I went out and I was kind of reckless sometimes, but at the same time I was paying my own bills. I bought myself my own car. I had no debt, and I paid my bills on time, and I had a full-time job, and you know, I was responsible and irresponsible at the same time. I have a lot of stories that I could say, and I could fill up many videos of a bunch of stuff that I've been through that were incredibly fun nights that I will never forget. But my point is going from that girl to being now responsible for 2 lives. No, I want to say 4, because I take care of my parents, my kid, and Ronald. And my mom helps me a lot and all that, but I've never had this amount of responsibility on my shoulders ever. And I'm not complaining because I love my life, but like I was telling my husband, I'm like, you remember that girl that I used to be, and I pretty much took you out of your shell and all that? And he's like, yeah. I kind of take him out of his comfort zone. He doesn't really like to socialize a lot, and I'm a super social person. And I'm like, I am not close to being that girl anymore. I remember her, but now I have so many other things on my plate that I just, sometimes going out is so exhausting just to think about it that I'm like, forget it. So I really wanted to just have a night of like reckless drinking. I knew Artemis was gonna be fine. Made sure that he went to bed before we left and all that. And I apologized to Ron, but I explained it to him in a way without us arguing. And he completely understood what I was trying to tell him, which is awesome. And he's like, I'm sorry that I tried to take your drink away. Maybe I should have just let you be reckless. I'm like, sometimes that's all a girl needs, is one night of just drunken debauchery and stupid silly singing and having stupid conversations, and that's it. And I'm good. I blew off some steam, and that is what I needed to do. Like before, this would have turned into like a huge argument, but at this point I'm starting to understand myself and starting to accept that sometimes I miss my former life, and that's okay. I would never say it out loud, and I would never try to think about that little piece of my life, but I do kind of miss it sometimes. I'm not saying that I'm not happy with the life that I have now and how my life has turned out, because it's been amazing, and trust me, I'm like more surprised than anyone that I am where I am right now, and I'm completely lucky. But that former self that I have transitioned from, I still miss that girl. I still think that was a lot of fun, and sometimes I just want to bring her out once in a while. And that's it. I'm not trying to go backwards. I'm not trying to have any regrets and all that stuff, like, oh, I wish I never would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. No, nothing like that. But sometimes we don't want to admit these things to ourselves because we feel guilty for feeling that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm finally coming to terms with it. It's like, it's okay. I'm not that girl anymore, and I can't even find the energy to be that girl anymore. But once in a while, I do want to let loose, and I do want to be a little reckless and ridiculous, and that's okay. Even if you're a mother, you have the right to do those things, and your husband has to give you that time to be a little reckless, just a tad. Anyways, those are my 2 cents on it. I could be completely wrong, but it's taken me a while to admit that to myself and to really explain that to Ron, because I didn't want him to think and hear it as I never wanted the life that I have, or I regret, falling in love and getting married and having a kid. Like, I don't want him to think that, because that's not it. It's not it at all. I'm pretty sure he doesn't talk about it that much, but I'm pretty sure he has that little seed in the back of his head that's like, God, I wish I could just be by myself and do, because he likes to concentrate on his games and his stuff, and it's very time consuming sometimes, and sometimes you need complete silence, and we don't have that right now because Artemis is all over the place, and and I know that he feels that way, but he never wants to talk about it. He never wants to admit that, because I think he feels like I'm going to think that he regrets where we are, and I know he doesn't. I know that he misses just having that time to himself, and that's okay. So that's the thoughts that I've had this weekend with this weekend's events.